People are quick to be like, "Oh my God, God's freaking evil. He wipes out people. He genocides people. The Canaanites, the Amalekites, they were wiped out. The children wiped out." Without context, I can understand your stance. Without ever looking into the actual events at all, I can understand the stance. But let's be consistent here. You want justice for Epstein, not like you want justice for the victims of Epstein by killing Epstein or having him jailed. Jeffrey Dahmer. We got a lot of Jeffs here. You want justice for the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer by executing or putting him away for the rest of his life. You want justice for these people. The phrasing could be better. You want justice to be had upon these people. You want punishment for these people. And then that's justice. I agree. We agree right now. When we look at the people that were wiped out in the Bible, you have generations of Epsteins. You have generations of Dahmers. You should do a little bit of research. You should do a little bit of research before you start yapping. You have generations of Epsteins and Dahmers. And yes, we need to wipe these people out. And if it was up to me, they would have been wiped out sooner. But God has a specific character God has a character. He's slow to anger. If you read the Bible, you'll understand this. Slow to anger, because he loves his creation. Even when his creation is entrenched in wickedness, he still wants to give another chance. He's very forthright with giving chances. So Canaanites, Amalekites, these people being wiped out, Epstein, Dahmer's being wiped out. Stop complaining about that. And then the other layer is the children being wiped out. Yes, if you have generations of Epstein, the children are going to be imprinted with Epstein. They're going to grow up being Epsteins, like Diddy. That's just how it goes. Your external environments have a heavy influence on who you become, especially in your younger years. If your role models are just a bunch of Epsteins and Diddies, you're going to be Epstein Diddy, Dahmer hybrid. That's what you're going to be. And some of the stories, they detail saving the young women, the not the women, the girls. Yes, because the girls are far more impressionable than like the boys. If you're a warrior tribe, the boys are going to be warriors. Everybody instinctively knows this. We might want to be like, it's 2026, so we can go against biology. The boys are going to be warriors, and the girls are going to be whoever they're with, pretty much. For the most part, there are exceptions to it. The girls could be warriors too. The girls that are saved from the genocide are far more likely to be, what's the word? Adapted? There's a different word. Integrated, are far more likely to be integrated into whatever society they're now in. If you dispute that, I don't know what to tell you. I'm really just saying facts. And I'm not saying all of them are easily integrated. For the most part, yes, women minds, little girl minds, also little boy minds too. But boys are like, they're far more problematic. They're not all going to be Epstein warriors if you take them to a new society. But there's a far more likely chance that they are than opposed to the little girls that you save. You save them, they integrate into the society rather smoothly. Everybody else got to go. Everybody else is tainted. And yeah, it's tough because the kids are their kids paying for the sins of their parents. That's tough. I can agree with that. But you have to be consistent with your view, right? Paying for the sins of your parents, that's disgusting. Oh my God, how can God do that? Okay, what are your views on abortion then? What are your views on those unborn children, yet still human lives, paying for the sins of their parents? You got to be consistent. I've heard people say that it's a parasite inside of the womb because they have to live off of the mother. This is what people are being taught. This is what people are being brainwashed to think. It's a parasite. It's not a human life. When does human life start? At conception. This is like This is a brain rot generation. It's a parasite. I bested you. Look at the definition of a parasite, and it seems to match up with that. You're an idiot. You're a fool. Life starts at conception. You have to be you have to be consistent with your view. If it's terrible for the kids to pay for the sins of the parents, then you have to say abortion is terrible. But a lot of you won't. A lot of the people who just jump to these conclusions are like liberal leaning. They don't care about context. I don't want to look into the story. Look at the headline. Ah. Yeah. We have a generation. I'm talking about the Canaanites right now. I'm going back. Generation of Epstein. Generations of Epsteins and Dahmers and Diddies and Hitlers. Nazis. True Nazis. Well, I can't even say that because that opens up a whole new can of worms, that Nazis were just regular people. And really, Nazis speak more to the inherent capacity for true evil in all of us. Well, really, Epstein, Diddy, they all kind of speak to that. Okay, they all kind of speak to that. It's you're only good because you weren't essayed since you were a baby and made to kill people since you were a baby. There's people who grew up like that. There's people who grew up in certain families where they were essayed. It's actually since they were a baby, since they were a toddler, and made to see things that nobody should ever see in their lives. You're only good because you grew up in where you grew up. You grew up in the hood. Let's go to the lower end of how you're lucky. You grew up in the hood, Section 8, EBT. Maybe you've seen a couple people die. But were you essayed since you were a toddler? Were you forced into fracturing your personality so they can take advantage of you, so they can make you a sleeper cell, so they can have certain code words to bring out certain parts of you? Were you like puppeteered to that degree? You can say the government and the white man puppeteered me, but were you puppeteered to that degree by your parents and the people around you who are supposed to protect you? The people around me didn't protect me. I grew up without a dad. I agree, that's tough. But there's levels to this. There's severe evil levels to this. Yeah, so I'm just putting this video out because the thought came to mind. Because I seen Sam Shamoon and Bryce Hall. I seen a clip. And Sam Shamoon was referencing the Canaanites. Because I think Bryce Hall was like very fixated on refuting Islam. And Sam was like, whoa, before you can do that, you got to understand your faith. You got to understand the refutations against your own faith from an atheist. Not even just from a Muslim, from an atheist. So then he brought up the genocides and, slavery. Even as slavery didn't start off as a race thing. Slavery was a debt collecting type of thing. You had a debt to pay. And it's a worldwide enterprise. And Christianity served, I think also, maybe even Islam to a degree, and Judaism. But Judaism, Christianity, the three Abrahamic faiths. I want to say Islam did too, but I also want to bash Islam. But I'm gonna be somewhat fair and say I think Islam as well did this. What's the word? It's not sanctioning. It's kind of like putting guardrails against it. Holy guardrails against what humans are already going to do. What just makes sense in humanity. You owe a debt. Give me your hands. You owe a debt. You got to work for me now. You owe a debt. Even people sold their family because they had debts, which is freaking tough. But really, it's a harsh reality. You can only have your view now because we're in 2026. They're still slaves. They're still sex slaves. They're still the conventional slavery that we grew up learning about. That everybody thinks started with Europeans, but it started with the African slave trade first started with Africans themselves, and then it started with the Arabs. Well, in between there were Europeans, but there was no worldwide slavery trade from those minority small community taking of Africans. That didn't lead to anything. What really led to things, what really led to motion was the Arabs. Because when you actually look into history, it'll start to unpack itself. Oh, I was lied to. Ah, okay, okay. There was a certain narrative being pushed here. Ah, okay, 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 okay. I meant to, you're there. Oh, you're molding me to only care about headlines. Oh, okay, 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 okay. Not everyone has your best interest in mind. Not everyone's trying to tell you the truth. You know, even when they smile in your face, they want to lie to you. They want their serpents. They want their words to pass their serpents on into your heart. So you go to the horse's mouth. You read. You look. You don't just take people's word for it. Because even when people are well meaning, they'll still misinform you. Like, even me, I could be misinforming you guys. Go look into it. Usually, people who say go look into it aren't trying to misinform you. Even if they potentially are subtly, like just because of like human error, they're at least not trying to. And what I'm saying is, if I'm misinforming, I'm not trying to. I really don't think I am. The Canaanites and the Amalekites were entrenched in sin for generations. This is the only reason why God moves on a people, enacts punishment on a people, because of um, generations of entrenchment and wickedness. Then he's like, I bet now you gotta pew, now you gotta sulfur rain down from the freaking heavens. You guys want justice. You guys love justice, but you don't want to get your hands dirty. You guys love chicken. You don't want to kill a chicken. And that's not everybody. There's vegans out there who are like, I don't want to kill a chicken. I can respect that. You're being consistent with your view, at least to an extent. What about abortion? And then it falls off. You'll say that conception isn't the start of life. So you'll go against all of science. Okay. Well, I won't even say all of science. You'll go against all of credible science, but you'll agree with pseudoscience because it forms your narrative. Actually, pseudoscience, yeah. I'll stick with that phrasing. So yeah, the Amalekites were a bunch of Diddies, a bunch of Epsteins, and a bunch of Dahmers, and a bunch of Hitlers. You want to save those people? Those are the people you're vouching for? Kill them. Kill them all. Even today, kill them. Pedophiles, kill them. Oh, wow, that's so controversial. Kill pedophiles. Shut up. You guys don't even know what you're talking about. You guys are so like, oh my God, God is bad because I know everything. And because look at slavery's in the Bible. And because there's genocides in the Bible. Oh my God, I'm so smart. How about you read? How about you read with, what's the word? With discerning eyes. Like when it says save the girls. It doesn't say for sex, but they'll imply that because they already have this narrative that they want to push onto the Bible. Because girls are far more impressionable, so they can be saved. They can be saved from generations of Epstein, Diddy, Dahmer, Hitler. They can be saved from that. Boys, not so much. Kill them. And that's tough, but it is what it is. That's divine punishment. I waited generations. I gave your aunts, not your ancestors, but I gave your great grandparents, your great 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 grandparents, I gave them countless chances. And we're in this generation now. We're high key in an Epstein, we're in an Epstein, Dahmer, Diddy, Hitler generation. There's Hitlers here, believe it or not. We're in that generation. And a lot of you, in abortion generation, sacrificing children generation, not valuing life generation. If you don't value life, I'll take it from you. Not me, of course, but you know. The things people defend and the ways in which they defend it. Fools, genuine fools. A baby in the womb is a parasite. You're a parasite. But I'll still engage. I'm still open to open dialogue. You have that crazy view, and I have this view that you view as crazy. We can still engage. I'm not trying to eliminate you or your view. But the people who only care about headlines, that's their goal. They want to eliminate any opposing view. Eliminate. Not hear out, not try to understand, but eliminate. Because they've been indoctrinated to such a level that they only care about headlines. If they just hearing something, they believe it immediately. Like a YouTube movement. Yes, there are women who got YouTubed. I agree with that. But then when you open, there's deceptive women who take advantage of that, who understand that I can destroy a man's credibility just by saying he raped me. Raped. YouTube algorithm might pick up on these words and stop putting it out, but raped. SA'd me. There are women who were. But it's like the sheep who cried, the kid who cried wolf or whatever the heck. It's not entirely that case. But don't believe every woman. Women are liars. I'm just going to say it plainly. I'm just going to say it plainly. You know? Women, for the most part, are good people. I can't even say that, but I'll say that. I'll say that. Until you disagree with them. Then they're a witch. They're a witch who will conjure spells on your behalf to destroy you. I'm not saying this because I'm hurt. I'm saying this because wise men before me have, what's the word? Informed this opinion. Men too. Men are not excluded from this. Men are not excluded from this. But I don't think to the same extent. If a man is to the same extent, then he's a woman. He has a feminine mind. A man who's vengeful, that's a feminine tendency. That's not a masculine tendency. And then the bad masculine tendencies would be like aggression, you know. What are bad masculine tendencies? Because all of them I can only think are feminine. And I'm not even trying to be like, I don't care. I don't care how you interpret this. Vengeful, argumentative, maybe even sarcastic. Sarcastic might be a blend of two, blend of them both. I can't say that's just feminine, but a feminine man is dangerous. A masculine female is not so dangerous. She's just very straightforward. She's not really too dangerous. She might be dangerous on the granular level, like when you're dealing with her in a relationship, like maybe it just doesn't work out because she's masculine, but I wouldn't say that's dangerous, maybe more problematic. But a feminine man is dangerous. That's a man who cannot control his feelings. That's a baby. That's a grown baby. That's a grown crybaby. But yeah, we'll leave it at that. There's, I guess, a number of topics brought up here, but we'll leave it at that. This is a layered channel. I have try not to laugh, try not to cringe, and then I also have, abortion is wrong. Yes, the Canaanites deserve to be wiped out because they're pedophiles and murderers. And the boys wipe them out too. Think about it like this. Maybe it's harder to conceptualize with the pedophile thing, because you might be like, oh, but he's a kid. Pedophiles are like, he got to get touched. He probably was already touched, to be honest. A warrior race. If I'm wiping out the opposing warrior race, we're at war. Why am I letting the little boys live? Why would I let that spirit of that tribe live? Are you dumb? 2026, you want to freaking coddle everything until it stabs you in the face. Oh my God, these Muslim immigrants are so nice. Stab, stab. Now who's the freaking idiot? How about you have some discernment? Discernment is a fruit of the spirit. You need to be able to see. Pray for eyes to see. Pray for wisdom. You shouldn't be advocating for the lives of pedophiles. But that's what you're doing with the Canaanites and the Amalekites. Because you failed to care about actually what's happening. And you cared more about strengthening your own worldview as opposed to pursuing what actually is right and what's true. And sometimes what's true is in alignment with your worldview. Kudos. Yay. A lot of times it's not, because we don't know anything. We think we know things, but all you know is what you've learned and how you've experienced life. That's subjective. That's not objective. So the pursuit of truth is always an uncomfortable one. Unless you grew up with Jesus and Buddha and whatever the heck. You grew up as them as your dad. Then maybe you have, a smoother path. But that's not any of us. Keep it a buck. That's not the vast majority of us, more accurately said. So I guess I wanted there. Canaanites, Amalekites, and the little boys deserve to get wiped out. Save the little girls because they're far more impressionable. They're far more likely to be integrated into a new society. Is this rocket science? Is this rocket science, or everybody just want to be super nice? I don't know. Salute.